I would like to reveal to you a secret covenant. And I've spoken about this secret covenant in the past, but I feel the need to speak about this covenant one more time. Okay? Now, as you know, real humans aren't the only people here. They're not the only people on this planet. And certain groups made covenants with these visitors. That's what I'm going to call them. Certain groups made covenants with these visitors. Unfortunately, the visitors are lawless. The visitors also have a history of destroying everywhere they go. The visitors also believe in domination, they are racist, and they are militaristic. And they also believe that they're superior, and because they're superior, everyone who is not them is inferior. Okay? These visitors also believe in slavery. Okay? Now what is important is that these visitors have 3 degrees of technology. Based upon where they are from, they have their old technology, they have their somewhat advanced technology, and they have their futuristic technology. Okay? All of which they, not all of which they want to share, but some of which they wanted to share. When these visitors arrived here, and they weren't the only ones, there were 2 classes of them. There were visitors that meant the human race good, and visitors that did not mean the human race any good. Certain groups on our planet in the past, because the contracts have to be renewed, and as recent as the rise of China, made agreements with these visitors. And these visitors, as you know, are not indigenous to this planet. They made agreements with these visitors so that they can get power to rule the world. And in return, the visitors get collateral. So those who made the agreements with the visitors, they get technology and they get a chance to rule the world. In return, these people groups that made contracts with the visitors had to give something up in return. The number 1 currency on earth is not paper money. It is not even gold. It is not even silver. It is not coltan. It is not crypto. It is not bauxite. The number 1 currency on earth is blood. The number 1 currency in space is genetics. So if these visitors came to Earth and certain groups made agreements with them for technology and a chance to rule the world, what do you think they gave up as collateral? Can anybody guess? We're talking about the secret covenant today. Can anybody guess what was a Taurus queen? Isaac, you got the answer. Humans, people, humanity. Are you beginning to see the condition of this planet? Humans, remember, the currency on earth that runs earth is not oil, it is not gold, it is not diamond, it is not silver, it is not bauxite, it is not paper currency, it is bloodshed. The currency in the cosmos to help you go from planet to planet, system to system, there's only one thing they want, and that's genetics. So when these visitors came, certain groups made agreements with them. Whether they were coerced into making agreements, whether they were forced to make agreements, whether they made it out of ignorance or stupidity, or they made it out of ignorance and greed, the covenants were made. And when those covenants were made, in return for technology and in return for an opportunity to rule the planet, they had to give up Earth's most precious resource, its people. Now, the reason why I'm going into this is because the media, the creature media, is humming and drumming up the sounds of race. And they're not doing this to bring equality and justice. You could never get equality from your television set. Your television set is designed to cause division. It is not designed to bring you equality. Equality will never come from your television set, your cell phone, your laptop, or the internet. If you think equality is going to come through those things, you are delusional. It will never. It is designed to divide and rule. So whenever you see anything on the media that is claiming that they're trying to be equal, it is a lie, because that is not how they operate. Okay? Exactly, ABS. We're going to get there. We're going to get there. So the reason why I'm talking about this covenant is because part of this covenant requires racism, real racism. Many of you believe that racism is because of your skin color. What if I were to tell you racism has nothing to do with your skin color? It is a genetic issue. And the reason why people who are melanated experience the most amount of racism, it is not because of their skin color. It is because of their genetics. And the groups on earth that made a covenant with the visitors, the evil ones, had to keep the covenant a secret. And the secret had to be kept from those who were not a part of the covenant. Is anyone following me, or do I have to repeat myself? Press 1 if you get it, or do I have to repeat myself? Only 2 people? Only 3 people? Only 4 people? Only 5 people? Press 1 if you get it. Or should I repeat myself? Let me repeat myself. Racism has nothing to do with your color. It has to do with genetics, and with a secret covenant that was made. Those who did not make the covenant and agreed to it must be left out in the dark and at the bottom of the pyramid. Are we following? Those who were not a part of the covenant, okay, must be left out in the dark. Follow me? And must be left at the bottom of the pyramid. Can anyone guess? Aha! Life givers and life takers. Bingo. Can anyone guess who's at the bottom of that pyramid worldwide? Who did not make the covenant? You'll figure it out. So if you make this covenant, this agreement with these visitors, you will be at the top of the pyramid and you will get an opportunity to run the planet. Those who did not make this covenant with the wicked visitors will be at the bottom of the pyramid, persecuted, and literally racism will be leveled against them. Racism is a part of the covenant. And when certain groups are racist towards you, certain groups, it is because they are keeping a secret. Let me say that again. When certain groups practice collective racism against certain groups, it is because the dominating group is keeping a secret that they don't want you to find out, and that is why they exclude you from around them. Because part of the covenant requires secrecy. Are you following me? Now, let me say that again. When you go to certain neighborhoods and they don't want you in those neighborhoods, you think it's because of your color. No. It is because they are keeping the covenant. Are you following? When certain groups come out of nowhere and all of a sudden they dominate all of the manufacturing on the planet, all of the industry on the planet, that is because they made the covenant. When you see certain groups struggle and struggle and struggle and struggle to lift themselves up by the bootstraps, which no other group has done, and they keep getting the rug pulled from under them, it is because they did not collectively make the covenant with the visitors. Now let's go deeper into how this covenant works. When certain groups are peaceful people, they don't trouble people, they don't bother anyone, and then over time, all of a sudden, they begin to become violent and start killing their own. And they don't understand why all of a sudden you look like me and we're killing each other. And no one understands why or how. It is because the group who made the covenant to keep the covenant sold certain groups as collateral. Did anybody hear what I just said? Okay. And in order to keep the covenant, because I told you, the highest currency on earth is blood. Endless bloodshed, senseless bloodshed is done wherever you find the slave groups. Because the ones who made the covenant have to keep the covenant, and to keep it, they keep it with an oath of blood. This is the covenant they made with the wicked visitors. And they gave certain groups as collateral to the visitors. And when they sold them to the visitors gave them advanced technology and an opportunity to run the world. Meanwhile, the group who's at the bottom find that no matter what they do, they can't climb up the system. And they're being told, pull yourself up by your bootstraps. Do like us. But they never tell them the secret. That they made a covenant with very wicked visitors. Entire people groups, countries have been sold to these visitors. And I find it rather peculiar that on a specific, whenever there's a specific group of people, when they rise to the top, or they begin to rise to the top of the pyramid, I find it rather peculiar. Every last one of them always, and I mean always, try to enslave Africans. Don't you find that strange? They always start off with trade. Then trade goes into colonialism. And then colonialism goes into full-blown slavery. Could it be these are fulfilling a secret covenant? So when certain groups don't want you in their neighborhood, when you're minding your business, walking through a neighborhood, and all of a sudden they come out to run you out of the neighborhood, you think it's because of your color. No, it's because you are not part of the covenant. And they know it because of your color that gives you away. Now, entire countries were sold to the visitors. Trinidad, Jamaica, all of the African continent, and I didn't stutter. Certain groups in the United States, you know who you are. All of Latin America, okay. The Aboriginals, I don't call them Aboriginals, the original people of Australia, okay, they were given up as collateral to enforce the secret covenant so that certain groups can run planet Earth. So when certain groups are being racist towards you and tell you they don't want you in their neighborhood, know this, it ain't your skin color. It's because you did not make a covenant with the reptiles. Here is the other thing. When that covenant was made, it allowed for the hybridization program to begin. So many of the people whose leaders made the covenant gave up their own people to be hybridized, because that was a part of the agreement, so that the race, the invisible ones who run planet Earth, can have a race of children on the Earth. Are you following me? And those children will be put in the top positions everywhere. Are you following? Okay. When you think they hate you for your skin color and don't want you around because of your skin color, you're dead wrong. They are afraid that you will find out the secret covenant, that certain groups cheated in order to get ahead so they can have and run the planet. And in order to do so, they had to sell people who were not theirs to sell in the first place.